Hi everyone. So in this video we are going to see how we can design this OTP input box in React. So it is a machine coding question that is asked in interviews. So let's see what are some of the features that we need to keep in mind while designing this component. Firstly, the user should be able to only enter numeric digits. So if I try to enter some alphabet or space character, it should not take that. Only digits are acceptable. So if I try to give a digit, so you see we entered 3 and we moved on to the next input box that is in focus now. So if I again give a number to it, so you see we again move to the next input box and so on. Apart from that, we should also be able to navigate using the left and right arrow keys. So if I press left and I press right arrow keys, so I should be able to focus that particular input box. Apart from that, if I press the backspace key, so it should delete that digit. And if I again press the backspace, so I should go back to the previous input box. Clicking any of the input box will put it in focus, and we can use the backspace key and give another number to it as well. Alright, so let's see how we can code this out. So I have opened a new React project, and inside it I have my components folder, inside which I have created a file called otp.jsx. I will simply do rafce, and we can first test by importing this OTP inside my app, and let's see what this is showing us. So we are getting OTP here. So you have seen OTPs, right? So OTP can be of 4 digit or it can be of 6 digit. So we have to keep the number of digits configurable. For that, what we can do is we can introduce a prop that would take in the digits. So initially it would be 4, or you can give anything. Like, we have to make it scalable in that way. Now if I go to OTP, I will simply destructure that prop digits, and based on how many digits I am getting, what I will do, I will simply create a div here. I will give it a class name, OTP container. Inside this, I will create another div that will have a class name of digits, and I will also have a button parallel to it. That button will be called verify OTP. So we have created a very simple structure here. So regarding the styling of this component, you are free to apply whatever styles you want. So I won't be showing you how to style that component. That is totally up to you. We will be focusing on the core functionality that we saw. Inside digits, what I'll do, I'll say new array of size digits dot fill. You can fill this with any value, like an integer or a string, anything, doesn't matter. We just need this array so that we can iterate over number of digits that we have. And I'll say map, and I will simply say inside this return input. I will give a class name to this input. So these are some of the styles that I have already written. I'm just applying those classes. You don't need to worry about that. And for this button as well, I will be calling it verify button. Let's see. Okay, so we have the styling sorted out. Now let's move on to the core functionality of it. So for now, this was simple. We just took in the digits, created an array of size digits, mapped over it, and created input boxes and a button as well. And we gave some styles to them. So if I go inside these input boxes and I try to type something, so you see we are able to type anything and everything that we want. So that should not happen. So firstly, what we'll say, I'll say max length to be 1, so that I'm only able to enter 1 character at a time. So the thing is, whatever values I have inside these input boxes, I want to make all these input boxes as controlled components. So I want to maintain their state inside my OTP component. So how we will do is, I will say const input values comma set input values is equal to useState. That will be again initially an array of size digits which we can fill with empty strings, right? So you can imagine this to be something like this. So we are creating an array with whatever number of digits we are getting, 4, 5, 6, that many number of strings would be created and we are storing in this array. Now, when we are iterating over these digits, so we are creating 4 input boxes. So for each input box, what would be the value of that? So we will take that from this array. So I will say input values of the current index that we are basically mapping over. So map gives us the item and the index. So I will say index. So what will happen is value will be assigned whatever value we have in this array. So for the 0th input box, we will assign it a value from here. For the first from here, like this. I hope you understand this. So now if you see, nothing will happen because this is now a controlled component and we need to update whatever the state it maintains by ourselves. So for that, we can introduce onChange. That will trigger an event and I will say handle onChange. I will pass it the event and the current index, right? And I will create this function here, const handle onChange. This will take the event and the index. So inside this handle onChange, the first thing I have to do is whatever key is pressed, I need to get the value of that key. So let's say I press 6 or 5 or 1. So I need to get that value. So I'll say const key is equal to e dot target dot value. Correct. And what I'll say, const updated values is equal to a new array input values, and inside this updated values array, using the index that we are getting, I will set the key. Now I'll do set input values with the updated values. So now see, this is important because if I directly update the index of this input values and I try to set it, React will still get the same reference of this array only, input values. So by doing this, I have created a new array, right? So the reference will be changed and React will properly re-render the UI. Okay, so let's see this now. If I try to enter something, so you see we are able to enter it. But this will not automatically go to the next input. I have to click on tab or press like a cursor so that I can move to the next tab. Okay, so this is working. Now, the next thing that we want to ensure is that we only accept numeric digits inside input box and we restrict any other alphabet or symbol to be entered. Now, I will simply introduce a condition. If is not a number key, then I will say return. Else, I will move this logic inside else part. So you see, we are doing nothing but just checking if basically the key pressed is not a number, then I'm returning immediately. Otherwise, I'm doing what I was doing earlier. I was just updating the values and setting it. Let's see now. If I refresh, I'm trying to press some alphabets. So you see, we are not able to do that. If I try to press a number, so we are able to do that. Now what we want is, as soon as I enter a digit inside any of the input box, I should be able to move to the next input box. So let's see how we can do that. We would be requiring to play with useRef. So I will say const input ref is equal to useRef, and again I will do the same thing like I did here. I will say copy and paste. I've created an input ref, and here while I am mapping over inputs, so what I'll do, I'll say ref is equal to, it takes a callback function which has a parameter of input element, basically whatever element we are creating the ref for, and I will say input ref of index is equal to input element. So once we have set our input ref, okay, so that should be current. When I'm updating the input, I would simply do input ref dot current of index plus 1 dot focus. Now if I click on a number, so you see I'm just clicking a digit and the focus is shifting to the next element. So if you see the console, so you see when I reach the last element and I click a digit, you see we are getting an error like cannot read properties of undefined, because when we are at the last input box, still after clicking a digit we are running this thing. So this is giving us an like an out of bounds error that we get on array. So to fix this, I will simply check if the index is less than digits minus 1, then only we will run this. So now if we see, I press some digits and we are not getting that error anymore. Okay, so the next thing that we want to achieve is I should be able to navigate between these input boxes using left and right arrow keys. So let's see how we can do that. I will go to my input. I will introduce a property called on key down and I will say handle key down. I will pass the event that we will get with the current index. Now I will create a function const handle key down. This will take an event and an index. Alright, so inside this function, first we will grab the key that is being pressed. So I will say, first let's see what we are getting on consoling this. So if I console E, see if I press a key, we are getting an event. Inside this, we are interested in this key value that we basically get when we press a key. So let's say if I press another key here, left arrow key, so another event is triggered and we can see this key keyword has arrow left. Okay, so I'll get the key here. Const key is equal to e dot key. Simple. If key is arrow left and the current index is greater than 0, then only we'll allow like the cursor to move backwards. Otherwise, if we don't add this condition, and if the left key is being pressed multiple times, so the index will like go like 0, -1, -2, and that is an issue. So now I'll say input ref dot current of index -1 dot focus, because we are pressing the left arrow key. So whatever box we are currently in, let's see. So whatever box I'm currently in, if I press left or right, so I should be able to move towards left or right side. For that I have, for the left arrow key, we want to go to the left side. So if I press left key, you see we are able to move left just using the arrow key. For right arrow key, I will just copy this. I will say arrow right and index +1, and I'll say index is less than digits -1. Now let's see, I'm clicking right arrow and I'm clicking the left arrow. So this is working absolutely fine. And in the console, if I am toggling this, so in the console we are not getting any error because we are not going out of bounds in our array. Alright, so the next thing that we want to achieve is I should be able to click on backspace and clear this input. And if I again click backspace, I should move to the previous input box. So currently you see I have cleared the fourth input box, and if I'm clicking backspace key, nothing is happening. Like we should be able to move to the previous key. For that, we can check if the key that is being pressed is the backspace key, then we want to do something. So firstly, what I need to do is I need to say e.prevent default. Why I'm doing this is I will show you. Let's say I'm on this, I'm clicking backspace, but it is not being cleared. So I will manually clear this input box. That's why I have prevented the default behavior of backspace. Now I'll create a copy of the current values. So I'll say updated values is equal to input values, and updated values of the current index, I will set it as empty string, and I will update set input values as updated values. So we have done nothing till here. We have just achieved the functionality of backspace. So if now I click on backspace, you see we are clearing the input box. So now the only thing remaining is I will check if the current index is greater than 0. I will come inside. I will say input ref dot current of index -1 dot focus. So doing this, let's say I click on backspace. Okay, so you see there is a problem. As soon as I'm clicking backspace, it is clearing the input box and it is taking me to the previous box. I do not want that. I want this input to be cleared but not move to the backspace until I have pressed the backspace again. So to fix this, I can add a check and the input values of current index is empty. Now if you see, I click backspace, so I am at the same box. If I click backspace again, then I go to the previous box. If I click backspace, input is cleared. I click backspace again, I go to the previous input, and like that. Let's also check the console if this is working fine without any errors. Yeah, this is working great. So this is almost complete. We are only left with a small edge case. If I press a space on this empty box, so you see, we are going to the next input box and that space is being captured. So we want to avoid that as well. For that, inside my handle key down, I will check if key is a space. I just want to prevent the default behavior. So I'll say e dot prevent default and return. Refresh it. And I'm pressing space keys, so you see nothing is happening. If I press any letter, nothing is happening. I press digits, going good. I am pressing backspace, clearing the input, right? If I navigate, so I'm able to do left and right as well. So that was it from my side. I hope you enjoyed watching this. Thanks a lot.